Hi, I'm Rebecca from the blog and YouTube channel Moon and Magnolia. And over the last few days, I have been experimenting with how to freeze unbaked sourdough bread dough. So I've tried a few different methods of this, and along the way, I have found that I've made a lot of mistakes. In fact, so many mistakes that I have to re-record some of this because what I anticipated happening was not what actually happened at all. It is the worst bread I've ever made. But even though things didn't go as expected, I'm still sharing the results with you because one, a number of the mistakes we can learn from about freezing dough and also some other techniques and tips about making sourdough bread. And two, despite the mistakes, I still have a full solid conclusion about the best way to freeze sourdough bread dough and then bake it. The reason I'm even doing this in the first place is because I know that for many folks, when they watch YouTube videos, for example, that say like, oh, just make your own homemade bread for your family, that's just another thing to add to your list. So through Moon and Magnolia's blog and YouTube channel, what I'm trying to do is offer you resources, tips, tricks, and hacks for living what I like to call a suburban homestead-ish or a scratch-made lifestyle in a realistic, accessible, and tangible way. So having frozen bread dough around can definitely do that. But the trick is you have to know how to freeze it and then how to bake it for it to actually work well. So this is my bread. So I made one full batch of my regular no-knead sourdough bread. I'll leave a link for that in the description box below. I made the dough, I let it bulk ferment all day, and then I divided the dough into thirds. All three pieces of dough or all three balls of dough were frozen after the bulk fermentation. Bread number one. So this one has some problems, which we'll talk about in a minute, but this is what I did. So once the dough was finished the bulk fermentation, I took 1/3 of the dough and then I shaped this dough and I put it in a bowl that was lined with parchment paper and a lot of flour, covered it with plastic wrap, and then I stuck it in the freezer. Once it was completely frozen, I then moved it into a plastic bag so that way I could have my bowl back. But what you'll see here throughout the video, what worked in this case is that shaping it and freezing it did work just fine. You'll see in a little bit why I wouldn't recommend shaping it and putting it in something that like a banneton basket or a towel lined bowl. But what definitely worked was using parchment paper and flour. But what I did with this one as a true experiment is rather than letting it do a second rise after thawing, I baked this one directly from frozen. So when I was ready to bake it, I took this solid piece of dough, put it in a preheated Dutch oven and let it bake. And what I found is it actually had a little bit of oven spring, but these big holes that you see here, this is actually a sign of underproofed dough. You can see there's some pretty giant holes and some tunneling and a little gumminess here. So this is a classic underproofed dough. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. One thing I really want to emphasize here is that the best bread is the bread that you like. This isn't my favorite bread, but my 3-year-old loved that bread and she ate more than one slice of it yesterday. That's why I only have this much left because she really liked it. So in some ways, this is actually a win because it's bread that my child liked. Was it good?
Yeah.
But if we're talking about sourdough in its most classic form, if that's what you want, this maybe wasn't the best solution. The other thing that was a little tricky about this was scoring it. So I tried to score it halfway through the first part of baking and it was too doughy. I wasn't able to score it until 20 minutes into baking, but by that time it already had these big tunnels. So then when I scored it, I actually just cut into a big hole and it didn't really work. But again, that's not really a deal breaker if this bread is good enough for you. The other thing about baking bread from frozen like this without that second rise, other than a lack of oven spring, is I couldn't really get a good crust. So I took the lid off of the Dutch oven like I always do when I bake bread, and I let it bake even longer in the oven, and I just couldn't get a good crust. This is a really soft crust, but again, that's actually not necessarily a bad thing depending on your preferences because my 3-year-old, for example, always asks for her crust to be removed, but she ate everything of this. So I don't know, call it a win, call it a loss, it just depends on your preferences. Bread number 2. It is the worst bread I've ever made. So here's the thing. There are a couple reasons why this bread didn't turn out. So let me first tell you the process and then I'll tell you the mistake that I made. So number one, what I did with this is when it was finished bulk fermenting, rather than shaping it, I just put it in a bag and froze it. But it was really clear after the first loaf of bread that it needed to do a second rise, and here's where things went wrong. I forgot to do the second rise. So the point of the experiment was to see how the dough reacts if you don't worry about shaping it before freezing it. If you take it out, thaw it, then shape it. I needed to do a second rise, but I have 2 sick people in my house. It's the first week of summer break and it's just plain old chaos around here. And somewhere along the way, I shaped the bread and then just forgot, and I put it right in the Dutch oven. But we still have a couple of things that we can learn about baking sourdough bread from this mistake. 1, we already know that it needs to be proofed again, but 2, shaping matters. I did not do a good job shaping this dough. So you can see it has these really big tunnels, which is, yes, underproofing, but you can also see it's really, really flat here. And that is probably because I didn't do a very good job shaping it. So you can see here, even the frozen bread has better oven spring. Sorry, my camera keeps refocusing on my face. But this is the frozen dough, and it has better oven spring than this one. And this one actually even had a little bit of a second fermentation or a second proof just by the fact that it was thawing. So really what happened here was poor shaping. So this is an important learning lesson, because for our bread to work out no matter what, whether we're baking it from frozen or if we're baking it just the same day, if we're doing a 2-day fermentation process, the shaping process matters. Creating that tension in the dough when we shape is what also helps it rise and gets that nice round shape that we like in sourdough bread. But what is interesting about this bread, even though it's not very good, and this is going to be breadcrumbs very soon because it's not really worth eating, is that the flavor is pretty good. And that is because even though I didn't do a true cold proof in the fridge or a second rise, as it was thawing, it was probably going through this same process as a cold proof. The temperature of the dough is what determines the flavor. So when you put your dough in the fridge or when you allow the dough to stay cold, like I did in this case, it does create a sourdough flavor. So the texture and the crumb are pretty busted, but the flavor was actually pretty good. Bread number 3. So there are some problems with this one that I'll talk about in a few minutes, but they are avoidable. And this is proof that you can, in fact, freeze your sourdough bread dough and have delicious homemade bread. So for this one, what I did is I let it bulk ferment, I shaped it, and I put it in a flour-lined Banneton basket. Rather than baking this one from frozen, I let this one thaw, and I remembered to do a second rise. But there were 2 mistakes that I made. 1, I froze it in the Banneton basket. So I always cold proof my bread in a Banneton basket, but freezing it, it got totally stuck. So I let it thaw in the Banneton basket, assuming that it was just frozen to the fabric. But even after thawing and doing the second rise, I couldn't get it out of the Banneton basket. So my shaping was totally ruined. And for a minute, I was really annoyed. I was like, you know what? I'm not baking this bread. But I got my act together. After pouting for a minute, and I did shape the dough as best as I could, and I just put it in the oven to see what happened, and it worked really well. But you can see there's still a little bit of tunneling happening here, and that is probably because I didn't let it sit long enough for its second rise. So this is something important to consider if you want to freeze your sourdough bread dough and bake it. You have to wait for it to thaw, which takes a while, and you have to wait for it to do a second rise. So that means you probably need to remember to take it out early in the morning, and then you won't be able to bake it until later in the evening. I had a hunch that this still needed more time for a second rise, but I was really out of time. I needed to get it in the oven or it wasn't going to happen. So I think this actually would be a little bit better if it had a second rise, but this is still really good bread. So here's what I would do for a simple process for freezing your bread dough. 1, I would not go out of my way to make extra dough just to freeze. I mean, you could do that for sure, but what I like to do anytime I'm making something, if I can freeze a little bit, I just make extra. So the next time you're making bread, just double up or triple up the batch of dough and then freeze what you have. But to freeze it, what I recommend doing is letting your dough bulk ferment, and then the dough that you're going to freeze, shape it, put it in a bowl that is lined with either plastic wrap or parchment paper, heavily flour it. You can even put a little oil on there if you want to, just to make sure that dough doesn't stick, because as I learned, if the dough sticks, it's pretty much a mess. I covered mine with plastic wrap and froze it first, and then once it was completely frozen, I transferred it into a freezer bag because I needed my bowl back. But either way, it'll work. Just make sure that you're preventing freezer burn by either getting it in an airtight container or freezing it in a plastic bag. When you are ready to bake, what I recommend doing is taking it out of the freezer and putting it back into a parchment paper lined bowl. So that way it can hold its shape as it thaws. If you don't have it in a container to hold its shape, it's just going to go flat again and you'll have to reshape it. So just make sure that when you're thawing it, you're putting it back into the bowl that you usually shape your bread in. Then the dough has to thaw. You can let it sit on the counter at room temperature until it's thawed. If you're working a few days in advance, you can pop it in the fridge and let it thaw in the fridge for a few days. But either way, just let it thaw. Then let it do a second rise in the container, and then you can transfer it to parchment paper and into your Dutch oven for baking. As I mentioned, I'll leave the recipe for my no-knead sourdough bread in the description box below, but if you have another favorite recipe, what's really nice about this is you can follow the whole recipe to a T. So make the dough as you normally would and bake it as you normally would too. You just have this little process in the middle where you have to let the dough thaw and rise again. This process definitely works, and with a little bit of preparation in advance, you can have homemade bread on the table on demand with very minimal effort the day of baking. Thanks so much for stopping by today, and I will see you again next time.